you may be and however you may be listening. We are live in Los Angeles on iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. Joy Taylor is joining me. I am so fired up for today's show. There is so much about today's show I absolutely love. Joy, how are you?
I'm great. Today would be a good day for Colin was right, Colin was wrong, huh?
It would be. Today would be a good day. When I was ultimately right on Westbrook, I said this is not the day to bring out the hammer because I do think Russell Westbrook's a good human being. And I'm glad Joy brought that up. I'll start with that. Generally, there is one or maybe two stars in the NBA that the fans love, the media loves, and people think I pick on him. Carmelo Anthony's been this guy. Blake Griffin's been this guy. John Wall, Russell Westbrook, Derrick Rose. Where I just don't like him like everybody else does. And so for 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years, I get nothing but hate mail, nothing but vitriol about Derrick Rose in Chicago. I kept saying, it's not going to last. He's not going to last. He can't shoot. He's going to get hurt. I said with Westbrook, he can't shoot, hyper-athletic, not going to age well, too rigid. I said about Blake Griffin. He's the best volleyball player, spiker in the league. I'm not building around Blake Griffin. I've said this about Carmelo Anthony. Doesn't play defense, doesn't play well with others. And I get nothing but hate mail. But I'm proven right eventually. I got league pass. I watch this league. I know basketball. I'm good. Doesn't mean I'm perfect on basketball. Doesn't mean I can pick every series. I thought Boston would beat Milwaukee. But so when I go after a star that's really popular, it is just nothing but hate mail and hate tweets for years until I'm proven right. Westbrook's the last one where you all kind of went, yeah, Colin got that one right. So my latest target, if you will, is a Joel Embiid. I said last couple of weeks, I'm not building around him, I'm trading him. It was relentless. I've got some of the nastiest emails, tweets, whatever you get on social media from Philly fans. I said, I'm not riding that roller coaster. Number one, he's beyond high maintenance. Number two, he's always hurt. And number three, he vaporizes Ben Simmons' game. And Ben Simmons has to work, or the legendary process is an abject failure. Simmons can't play with him because Simmons needs the lane wide open because he can't shoot, and he scores at the rim. Well, this morning, I think Philadelphia, this time it only took Joy a week. It didn't take 4 years of your hate mail. It took a week, Philadelphia. You know this morning, I was right. You can't build around that. You can't build around that. Forget the 6 treatments to get him on the floor. He hurt you on the floor last night. Listen, 95% of the general managers in this league are petrified to trade a popular player. And that popular player, like Westbrook, is often your best player. And they don't like to do it. They're petrified. But 2 teams in this league have been willing, 2 GMs in this league have guts. Daryl Morey of Houston doesn't give a rip what I say and doesn't give a rip what you think. He'll just go for it. And the other, the guys in Golden State. Because they moved off their best player, Monte Ellis, an all-star, hyper-athletic, fun to watch. And they moved off him. And they said, no, we're going to go with this kid from Davidson who has an ankle problem, Steph Curry. And do you remember the night that Rick Barry, a Warrior legend, introduced Joe Lacob, the new owner, who had the guts to move off the star? You remember how ugly that got? I do.
Show a little bit of class. This is a man that I've spent some time talking to. He is going to change this franchise. Come on, you're doing yourself a disservice. All of the wonderful accolades being said to you, for you to treat this man who is spending his money to do the best that he can to turn this franchise around, and I know he's going to do it. So give him the respect he deserves.
It's hard. That general managers don't like that stuff. Owners don't like that stuff. But the Bulls should have moved off D. Rose sooner. You saw the injuries. OKC picked the wrong guy. Philadelphia. Embiid still has value. It's time to move him. A week ago, you were saying, Colin, why would you trade any of these guys? And I said, because they don't work, because they're underachieving, because they have the second best talent in the league to the Golden State Warriors. They do. They got 4 guys that can play, 3 potential stars. Choices. Life's all about choices. Make the right ones. Ben Simmons, a great player, doesn't work with Embiid. Jimmy Butler's a great player. I'd keep him. Not a lot of Jimmy Butlers. Tobias Harris, numbers right, big, can shoot. I'd keep him. J.J. Redick, I'm not letting go of a shooter. Embiid's got value, but man, high maintenance, can't stay healthy, and doesn't work with Simmons. I'm not saying that Embiid isn't better than Simmons today. Westbrook was better than Harden in Oklahoma City. But the difference between the haves and the have-nots, the winners and the losers, the rich and the poor in sports is mostly two things. A, and the Patriots are masters of this, the ability to move off talented, popular players who are either a pain in the butt or aging poorly. The second thing that separates the rich from the poor in sports, the haves and the have-nots, the winners and the losers, the ability to spot talent in coaching, free agency, and players before everybody else does. Warriors knew Curry before he was Curry. The late Steve Jobs knew you needed the iPhone before there was the iPhone. He knew you would be staring at it all day. That's what separates millionaires from billionaires. The ability to move off things that have served their purpose, and the ability to spot things that will serve their purpose, but nobody but you can see it. Philadelphia, choices. Oklahoma City made the wrong ones. You got 4 dudes. Going to be able to keep about 2 of them. Embiid and Simmons don't work. Here was Charles and Shaq afterwards.
So Mark Jackson said, Joel Embiid, you're one of the greatest big men, so can you step up to the challenge? He's not doing it today. I don't want to hear no excuse. If you step on the court, you're dog meat, you're barbecue chicken layer. I don't care about no respiratory. I don't care about no boiler. I don't care about none of that. You want to get to the championship, and you want people to remember the process forever, you got to step up. 5 points is unacceptable. During the regular season, he's averaging 28. He's now averaging 18. He's not stepping up to the challenge.
They showed him walking into the game today. He's walking by himself like he's on his deathbed. As a star player, you can never show weakness. You got to keep the other guys involved in the game. That's what he does. He complains so much about being sick, he drains the energy out the room.
I got some icy hot cough drops for you. Man up.
And, you know, those guys are funny guys, so they say that stuff, and we don't think it's mean. Often, when I went after Wall, Rose, Blake, Melo, Westbrook, you got to be able to see things before other people can. Warriors, Monte Ellis, Steph, and you got to be able to move off popular players. The Patriots have done this. The Warriors did that. You just have to. I mean, remember the old game Operation? Remember the old game as a kid you played Operation? Embiid has had a stress fracture in his back, a broken right foot again, a torn meniscus, a right hand injury, a broken eye socket, a sore left knee, a stomach flu, upper respiratory infection. Folks, it's a lot of stuff, and I like him. And I know you're saying, Colin, you're brutal. He can play. Somebody will take him. But you got to make choices. And again, the separator in sports, can you move off popular players when you see trouble ahead? And can you spot talent before everybody else does? The knuckleheads think Simmons can't play. The have-nots think Simmons can't play. Ben Simmons is unbelievably talented. He just can't play with Embiid. So you're going to have to make a choice. Make the right one. By the way, there's a reporter who's very respected. I like him and know him and have talked to him recently. His name is Woj, Adrian Wojnarowski. When he drops stories, he usually beats his competition. They call him Woj bombs. I always believe them. Although this one, I'm not so sure. Woj says Kawhi Leonard seriously considering re-signing with the Raptors over LA teams. With all due respect to my a very respected NBA writer, Kawhi doesn't talk. How do I know that? Wasn't San Antonio the perfect fit? Tim Duncan hid in San Antonio for 20 years. They had a system. Popovich was loud, talked a lot, takes away all the glamour from the franchise. I thought San Antonio was perfect. And actually, couldn't I argue you can hide in Toronto? The most northernmost franchise in another country? I mean, Canada or Hollywood? What's a better place to hide? Halifax or Hollywood? Aliens could land in 88% of Canada and nobody would spot it. Lindsay Lohan pokes her head out of her condo and TMZ's there in 15 minutes. I love Woj, but how can anybody know what Kawhi Leonard's thinking? He doesn't talk. By the way, you could stay in Toronto and you'd be the second most popular player or the second most well-known person in the arena to Drake. I thought San Antonio was perfect. I can make a very, very compelling argument for Toronto. If I ran the Toronto Raptors, I can make an unbelievably compelling argument. My first argument is we win, we're a good organization, we're stable, and oh, by the way, you're only here 3.5 months a year. People forget, the first day you show up is late September for pictures. The last day is mid-May. But 4 months is the off season. 3 months you're actually not in the city during the regular season. You get a week off for the All-Star break, and 1 more month of pre and post you're not in Toronto. You're actually only in your NBA city for 3.5 months. Toronto, by the way, is wildly diverse and sophisticated. It'd be the third biggest city in America. It's not Sacramento. Sacramento's a hard pull. That's a hard marketing push. Come for the taxes without any of the beach or glamour. That's Sacramento. That's a hard sales pitch. Really. California's taxes without the perks. That's a tough one. Toronto's beautiful. Toronto's smart. Toronto's diverse. Toronto wins. Toronto is well run. You're only there for 3.5 months. I got to be honest. As much as I love all these NBA reporters, I don't think anybody knows about Kawhi Leonard. I mean, he basically doesn't even have a powerful agent. He's got like a relative. I think we're all guessing on Kawhi Leonard. Also, throw this out. Woj mentions this. Toronto can pay more than anybody else. He's already got a house in California. Toronto can pay more. You can hide there. They win. They're stable. The GM's smart. Seems to be a likable team. The Eastern Conference is generally weaker than the Western Conference. By the way, it's not like their taxes are that much worse than California. You're not going to the Dallas Mavericks or the Houston Rockets or the San Antonio Spurs where there are no state taxes. California and Canada, pretty darn close. The only difference is in America, you can write off your house. You can't in Canada. But you can only write off $700,000 of that, so it doesn't matter because Kawhi owns a $13 million house in California. So I will say, as much as I respect all the NBA writers, Woj and all of you, I don't know how anybody can figure out Kawhi Leonard. He doesn't really communicate. As a player, he doesn't really pass. He doesn't really talk. He's got big hands and an interesting laugh. I thought San Antonio was perfect. Tim Duncan hid there for 2 decades. I mean, I think that's Kawhi Leonard laughing at all of us who think we know what Kawhi Leonard's thinking. I don't have any idea what he's going to do. I think it's L.A., but I've never been less sure in my life. I don't even know what team in L.A. They tell me he doesn't like LeBron. All right. Then I keep reading stories. Maybe he likes him a little. Seriously, that's Kawhi laughing at all of us, suggesting he's made up his mind. I don't know. I think he's... Every sports always has that guy that you just can't quite... We could never figure out Jay Cutler. Was he really that permanently grumpy? Was Jay Cutler just mad at everybody? I could never quite figure